prompting and structure and stuff is like great. I have no problem with it. But like this is like a fun extra.
No,
okay,
yeah, go for it. No, you're not. That's how I like. Cold open is a fun time. Like surprise cold open. Welcome to Day of Fun Writer Reacts mashup episode, y'all. Here we are again with our good friend. What's up? How you doing? Writer Reacts on YouTube has got some of my favoriteest videos because let me tell you, you got the good facial expressions for letting people know what we're in for. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I do my best. You know, I just stare at a screen and then let the emotions flow.
Listen, we've kind of talked about this a little bit that you're kind of, and I wanted to bring it up. You're not super into the scary, but your audience likes to scare you.
Honestly, though, like that's because for the sake of content, scary stuff is gold. Because like chances are I'm going to react because otherwise I would be having a pillow and a blanket shielding me from all the bad things coming at me on my screen. But now I don't have that. Yeah. And I have no, like, I can't rely on that at all. And so
you have to look.
My audience seems to enjoy the kind of masochism that I put myself through. So.
Well, thank you from me and your audience, everyone, for just go ahead and taking one for the team. Here's a question that I do have. Would you ever go on like a paranormal investigation? And if so, where?
You know, what's funny? Like I've looked at, so my ex really wanted to move to Salem, Massachusetts.
Okay.
And I was like, that would be kind of cool. Like I like it's close enough to Boston. I have no problem with that. Like that sounds really fun. We used to watch like I don't know. I think it was Ghost Hunters. I think it was one of those like paranormal looking
Travel Channel, whatever.
Yeah, and it wasn't so much the houses that were scary. It was like the abandoned asylums and factories and things like that. I think Chernobyl would be a definite out.
Chernobyl would be a definite out. I just almost got so excited thinking that you would go. Like, let's go to Chernobyl.
If they can figure out the radiation problem, we'll talk. I think they just put it in a bubble, right? Now that's it.
Well, I mean, listen, Mother Nature is rocking and rolling and figuring it out over there. The animals have come back, like the plants have taken over. Like, no, really, there's mushrooms and fungus now that have developed over there that eat the radiation stuff, basically.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah,
like Mother Nature is creating the things that are neutralizing the danger sauce for all of the rest of nature because she knows what she's doing.
That's good. I'm not up to date on my like Russian like nuclear like news, so like I'm good. That's
you don't check up on Chernobyl like I do.
I haven't checked up my like live feed of like mushroom growth.
Yeah, like I haven't been watching the like, oh, what things is it? You know what? Because that's not what they focus on in the news. They don't tell you about all the good things that nature is figuring out on its own without us that we could maybe feel a little bit good about.
Yeah, they tell you about like the latest species to like be wiped out. I'm like, well, that's fun. That's a whole other episode.
Like, let me tell you though, again, with the like paradigm flip to the positive side, Sauce, right? Like you say that species has been wiped out, but look at all the species that we thought were extinct and then you find them again. Like nature is sneaky.
Yeah.
Nature, that's like, do we need to talk about Bigfoot, y'all? Nature is sneaky.
Right. Okay. Right? Maybe you can help me out with this because like we would always be at odds, like me and anybody watching like any of these like paranormal shows, because you would go from like a show like that would like claim for everything to be real to like Paranormal Activity, which is like a very cheaply run, easily done horror film. Because a lot of horror films are very easy because it's all about the suspense of like what's about to happen. So like
the not knowing what's around the corner.
Paranormal being very quiet, and all you might need is like a little thump or like someone in like ADR to just like do a little click and be like, oh my God, we got something. I'm a healthy skeptic. So like I always am like looking for ways to like see in, like to like believe something like that. Because I believe that there's some like entity. I just haven't been able to see like enough evidence to like know for myself. So like watching those kinds of shows, like how can you like, is there a way to kind of like tell that like it's all genuine or anything like that?
I mean, I think anybody watching those shows, like your gut tells you when it's genuine and it's corny sauce, like, but also I think the thing with that's my whole paranormal investigation fascination is the idea of I want to experience it myself, whatever it is. right? Because that's what that excitement is what is that that's happening, and I want to be there to like. I mean, if you're in an empty house and hear running upstairs all of a sudden, right? And you can't mistake the sound of running footsteps.
And so like that's why I kind of would love to go and experience it myself, because like my production side of my brain is thinking, okay, well, they're signed via contract by like A&E and the travel show. They have to produce results. They have to, something has to happen for them to get good ratings. I've never seen an episode where they'd be like, we didn't find shit.
But because that is a thing that happens, and that would be more real, and that would be more authentic. Right. And I am with you on that. Like, that's why. So like that another podcast that I host, the Global Ghost Hunt podcast. Like, I love that there's just people on YouTube who are doing the actual investigations and putting stuff out there. And sometimes it is 2 or 3 hours worth of maybe you got something, maybe you didn't, but that's what it actually is.
Yeah. Now I could never actually, like identify an actual like place to go to, because I can't remember like any of those real places, but like, you know, the general like typical,
I was gonna say like
asylums, they kind of look like Chernobyl if Chernobyl was just an abandoned building.
Was it like right? But that's I mean, I'm in the Midwest. There's a lot of different like abandoned spaces that would be great to check out. You know,
I will say though, like I'm easily scared when it comes to that stuff. So like being a man of like science and reason, now you put me somewhere like that, it's probably not like too hard to like for me to believe that like I'll probably like think something is like behind me.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, right? Like it depends on where you are in the situation you're in. But like for me, definitely, like I'm one of those crazy people. I'll go take my dog for a walk at night at like the state park, and it's like super dark, you know, and I'll just be walking in the trees, and I'm fine with that. Again, I hear stuff, and I'm like, I know there's deer and things out here.
Yeah. Do you have like in your state park, do you have lights, anything like lighting trails or anything?
Not where I'm walking. No. I like to go out there and be that like weird hippie girl who's out there in the dark with like all the witchy energies, and I'm fine with it. You know, I'm that crazy person.
We'd be like walking like through like Central Park, or like just recently like the Boston Commons, and you wake up and in the middle of the night someone has drawn a bunch of symbols. I don't know what they are. They're not runes, but like somebody I was told was like, there are people every now and then who are just trying to like do some crazy dark magic stuff.
Are they doing dark magic, or like do they think that they're making a fun little content something or other? That's the thing. Where is this at that this happens? Boston Commons?
Oh, just like any major park where there's just a giant congregation of people, like chances are one person's gonna try to do some weird stuff. I don't know. I've like seeing because we looked up the symbols and we're like, okay, this is clearly happening everywhere. Some like I don't know what they're trying to do. I don't know enough about that stuff to like know exactly what their motive was and if they achieved it, and like what happened between like Monday night and Tuesday morning, and like how, if the world has changed.
If the world has changed since you did your graffiti tag somewhere, maybe not.
Because it's like it's on the pathway. It's not like, you know, they like, and it's not in like I think it is spray paint, but I don't know. It was like it wasn't a pentagram. I don't know. But I don't feel any different. So
I don't feel any different. I don't think like I don't feel like I brought a demon with me. I don't feel like I have like an extra entity hanging out with me. I think we're okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, where would you go then? Like, I'm gonna try to look up some places here because I'm thinking some of the.
It's like this is like becoming a central theme where we have to like look for real estate for some reason.
Well, because our podcast, haunted. Okay. Yes. Here.
Haunted house hunters.
Haunted house hunters. Yeah. That would be a great. Why is HGTV not doing that? Like, get a mashup where you have like a paranormal investigations team that is like hunting for places to like that you're finding the abandoned type places, but you're gonna like historical preservation sauce them, however, whatever, right? So it's kind of, it's not renovation necessarily, but like where is the paranormal investigation historical preservation HGTV show? Hello, producer people in the whole wide world. Excuse me.
Yeah. Not to pull the whole millennial card, but like HGTV and like a lot of those channels, they're not what they used to be. Like you have to go now to Omni Creativity. What's going on?
He's here. What's up, Omni? Yeah, we can go Omni. That's one of my buddies. What's up, Omni?
Nice. Yeah, that's a whole different thing. Like I know like my parents now, like we used to watch like Food like Network. Every morning it would
Yeah.
be like Emerald, it would be like Alton Brown Good Eats and things like that.
Yeah.
Now they have to go to like there's an actual like create channel, which is very PBS-y and where you have
Okay.
to like cook recipes and stuff. Because now like Food Network, HGTV, it's all like reality shows. It's all game shows. It's all competitions.
It's
Like
all game shows and
food truck
competitions.
wars and like which attractive couple can build the house the best
Yeah.
and kind of thing like that. I was like, I just want to see like people go and like tour houses. Like I don't need to make it a game like switching, oh, do you want to love it or list it and kind of thing. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, just show me a house, show me a haunted house, scare
I
some
just want a
people.
tour. Like,
Yeah,
yeah. I think that would be like, yeah, haunted house hunters sounds like the best idea ever.
that'd be
We're
cool.
just going to find places and tour them and maybe we'll buy them again for historical preservation, or maybe they're too much and we can't fix them.
Yeah,
That's what
I
we're
don't.
looking
Yeah,
for.
I don't think so much. So maybe like if it's a haunted house, I would probably have to look like some like old Victorian mansion or something, very gothic. Maybe like an old church or cathedral,
I mean,
like or like asylum or a factory, like something with a
anywhere
history. Yeah,
anywhere you go is going to have weird haunted places.
yeah.
I mean, pick a city kind of thing.
hmm
Like,
I would
let's just,
want somebody. Go ahead.
I'm just going to say like haunted cities
hmm
in the Pacific Northwest
Yeah,
is what we're
yeah.
going to do.
Okay, all right, that
5
works.
Washington ghost towns worth a visit.
hmm
We're going to check this out and see
hmm
what do we got here.
Yeah. Oh
Here we
hell.
go. Not overnight in this thing. This
Oh
is not enough walls and windows for you.
Oh God, there's too many windows. That's the problem. It's just I can already imagine. Like
That's not a thing that you ever hear on the HGTV shows. There's too many windows.
I can see too. I can see too much outside, which means too many people could see inside all at once. And like
That
there are times where like I'm not like not scare myself, but like I'll just have this thought in my head and be like, what if I like walk out of the bathroom right now and I turn to like my like full mirror and I'll just see somebody like grinning like in the back and be like, all right.
oh, like what if I now that's kind of fun. Let's try to paranormal stuff caught on camera or what have you.
Did we talk about this where like I watched this video a while ago that like analyzed fear and like different types of fear and like the difference between like horror and terror and like I think it was terror that was like some of the most scary things in the world are things that
No,
baby doll thing.
you don't with that baby doll thing.
So it's exactly that. It's things that look normal, but there's something slightly off about it. So like the beady-eyed baby right there, and like they had a picture of a teddy bear, but somebody had sewn in like human dentures into it. It was
Oh
horrifying.
no.
Exactly. Plush teddy bear, human dentures, horrifying. Like a toothy
That's
smile. Oh God. Yeah, no.
that's genuinely pretty awful, but I kind of want to look it up.
And honestly, like any of those pictures right there, you could have any of them and just have like two bright, like reflective eyes in any of the shadows. And I, oh, school security captures ghostly.
School kicking
Well,
over the wet sign.
well, they slipped on the floor. They didn't read the sign. There you go.
That is, you
Like,
know what?
well,
It's happening in the afterlife. They got
and
banana peels.
and you know what's funny? It's like that's where like I would like try to like superimpose comedy to like
That is
try to make I'd be like, they're not haunting me. They're just clumsy and they can't read either English or Spanish. So they slipped.
And
So
they just that thing just popped into their dimension all of a sudden, like Bigfoot pops into our reality now and then, right? That's what happens. And it just like, oh, what? That thing came out of nowhere and just tripped right over it.
Yeah. Like
Ooh, those are fun ones. Like it is paranormal caught on camera, but I'm thinking like have you seen videos of like where there's a car that comes out of nowhere? Like,
no.
oh man, let's see. This is where we got to get.
This is like,
I got to find a YouTube.
This is slowly where like the healthy skeptic in me comes out, where I'm like, okay, I need to like have all of these like doubts for like, okay, it's like the confirmation bias. Okay, camera glitch. I was like X off all of those like one at a time, and then like I'll believe. And like, I hate to say it, like just put me in the house, and then like I'll let you know like if I return, like how much of a new believer I am.
If
But
I return.
yeah, I'm so bad, and it's like the same thing with the religion. I'm so bad unless I can get like my hands and eyes on it. It's so hard for me. Okay, let's see. This is a car driving, stopping. Wait, oh wait. Okay, the turning, and then
Like,
turning, and then there's
where does this car come from?
Interesting.
Like, where does that car come from?
Huh. Why does this guy have a dash? You know, and this.
Okay, again, but I love this. So, like in Russia, they have a lot of dash cam footage of stuff because legit in Russia, they do have problems with people like ramming into you and like trying to scam you basically by saying like you caused an accident. So people to protect themselves,
that's
like,
cool.
Have dash cams all the time. Like this is a thing that is like, so they, but I love it. Like weird Russian dash cam footage.
I cannot believe that.
My favorite.
I can't believe that. It looks like that guy hit, like T-boned him, like almost hit him. I don't know. I do not have fast enough reflexes to brake for a car appearing from like a different dimension.
Yeah, right? Like who has those reflexes? If it comes out of the multiverse out of nowhere, that's you gotta have some pretty. That's a valid point.
Yeah, now I have just to, a family from like a different like version of Earth to be like, you know, what would be nice to go for the summer. The middle of a four-way intersection on a busy Russian street.
Oh, hold on. Russian
bad
dash
drivers,
cam
Russia.
Footage paranormal, because there's weird paranormal stuff they catch too.
Real
Like,
ghost caught on dash cam.
I know. I'm like, show me a real ghost. Where?
Okay, so for the audio listeners, this looks.
Like we've got a dark. Oh, here we go. We've got a nice dark road.
Okay, dark road.
We're going what?
It looks like snowing, possibly.
Snowing, yeah. We're going
highway.
We're
nothing
going
so far.
At least.
Real ghost caught on.
We see only the road.
I see mist.
And there's no. I don't see if we're on grass. What? That's fake sauce.
Yeah. I appreciate the little, apparition. And you know what? All the misinformation. It's like somebody's gonna believe this, and then I'm like, I don't know what to believe. I literally just have to be put into it, and then scare the crap out of me. That'll be fine. You know, I could do a vlog of that. If I can find something, because there's got to be something haunted around here. Because like around like on the East Coast. All the New England colonies. I mean, like if I could go to Salem, just like spend a night doing something, not Halloween, because then it gets very, very commercial and they capitalize the hell out of like the haunted stuff in Salem with the Salem witch trials and everything.
Yeah.
I'll do it like maybe in like January when everything is like kind of settled down, and I'll just like settle in one of the houses. And
maybe you just need to find like a random little cemetery, like those mini ones. Like when I lived in North Carolina, they would have these little. Like I was out in the county in some like farmland, basically kind of area, but there would be little like old family sort of like cemetery plots, like that would be, you know, maybe like 20 feet by 20 feet, little walled in, so like really, really small, right? Little fenced in little baby cemeteries, but find little random places like that. That would be a cool podcast, like a traveling podcast where you just travel and go look for like, where are the places that just look like that could be spookified, and just stop and just go stop there. Like, hey, there's a weird little cemetery. Let's go sit in there for a while and see what happens.
That could be fun. I know some people who just hang out in cemeteries, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I could do that. Omnicollect,
different cultures.
Yeah, different cultures. So that reminds me of like Coco and dealing. I think Western culture is like the only culture that really stops things at like death. Maybe they're like, because like a lot of like I think like Asian cultures, even like some like Hispanic cultures, like in French, like really, really like, you know, cherish and still continue to honor people like in the afterlife. I think of like Coco, and you know what your ancestors are doing, and ghosts, and how it's obviously they could be haunting you, but haunting isn't inherently a bad thing. And we could explore that. That's how we make haunted house hunters not boring, is continually adapting it to different cultures. What the heck? Oh, God, no. Not that.
Okay.
Not what you just pulled off. Not that. Not that. We missed
we were so ready. We were so happy. We were so jazzed and ready to go. And the second I bring up this one that is the first other culture thing that I think of, and you're out.
Oh, we missed the mark so hard. Oh God.
So there's I was trying to look this up. It must be like, yeah, is it the 𝓕𝓻𝓪𝓷𝓴𝓲'𝓼 festival? So it's in Indonesia, and they pull out their dead relatives and put them in new clothes and give them cigarettes, and they're mummies, basically.
Oh, the kids are taking selfies with them.
Yep.
Oh, they're piggybacking them.
Yep, they're gonna they're out for the day to play. Hello, our ancestors. Here you are. They have new family photos that they take. There you go.
Why even if you know you're gonna do that, why even bother digging them, like putting them in the ground? Just
they okay, hold on. Let me see if I can. I want to say some of them are.
Oh, you know what?
They have them built into kind of walls, sort of, where they're not. Oh, I gotta try to
literally put them in the
they have
the mountain here.
Yeah. That's like basically what it is. Like that I'm trying to find that's what they do. They have it's like shelves dug out of the side of a mountain, and you put your dead in there and then you pull them out.
God, I was wondering, I was going to ask this. I probably should have asked this a couple of episodes ago with the cursing and everything, but this is probably as good a time.
You can go ahead and curse. You can say, oh shit, that's fucked up.
Is probably as good a time as ever to ask, what's the rating on this?
The rating on this is I don't think that dead mummified people are super terrible, I guess. I don't dead mummified people. Since we've had Coco as a movie, I think this is pretty.
No, that's fine. But if you're gonna take them to Dave and Buster's 10 years later, then I don't
Okay, now you're getting fun. Now we're starting. No, now we're cooking. Now that's an animated show that I want to see. That we're doing the reality show wife swap kind of situation. How about a culture swap?
God.
No, really. Hey, you guys celebrate your dead? Cool. Bring them to Dave and Buster's. Can you imagine a bunch of those mummified things strapped in next to people on a roller coaster or something?
They'd be I know this looks bad, but we got a senior discount and we are rocking with it.
Oh, right? Come on. You'd have to. You get a discount. You could have family discounts or group discounts because you have bigger groups, right? They count.
Honestly, though, that would be kind of cool if you take two cultures who have very starkly different views of how to treat people in the afterlife, and then swap them. And then one is hey, we're going to dig up Aunt Ethel while you're here. I hope you don't mind. And then this one is we don't talk about it at all. It's actually a very sore spot, and that would be most Americans.
But that would be really interesting, wouldn't it? To have someone from a different culture and just try to explain to them oh no, we don't we don't even handle our dead. We someone else takes them away and and it because a lot of other cultures they prepare their own dead.
Mm-hmm.
And they get that for a funeral and whatever. They don't have the, mortuary services that we have now. They're not separated from it like we are. I just had to see this from Omni that he had a comment, baby cemetery makes me think of a little cemetery with babies in it. Sorry, that's the association. That's okay. We're just going full canceled sauce here because we don't care. That's what we do. We drove by, so I live in the Midwest. Now that Omni says this about cemetery full of babies.
Is a little cemetery, just to clarify, that's just a small cemetery, right?
Yeah, a little tiny baby cemetery. However, I do live in a place where outside of a church that my sister and I drove by, there's all these pink and blue crosses out in the yard. Literally maybe 100 of them that are stuck in there. And as we're driving by, my sister was like, are those all supposed to be aborted babies? Oh no. Oh, that's what that is. And I'm like, yep, there that is. And we're like, great. That's awful. That's where we live.
It's the worst gender reveal party.
That's the worst gender reveal party ever. That's pretty great.
Don't hire the church for your to run your
now. See, now I have to go find where that church is in town again, just so I can create that meme and put that up there. Worst gender reveal party ever, and who's gonna get upset? Everyone.
I know.
Oh, I love that. I love how inappropriate that is. That makes me happy.
Yeah, yeah. And that's the fun. I think we talked about this last time, like about comedy and how the jokes,
Sometimes the
they're not.
only way to process horrible things
Yep.
is to make
Yep.
it funny.
Yep. The comedy isn't about like isn't always that we necessarily believe in the content that we're talking about. It's just the turn, it's the shock value, it's the turn of phrase, it's the punchline, and then you move on. That's it.
And then you move on.
Yeah.
It's the thing that is like sometimes that thing that is the first thing that pops into your head when you hear a thing or think about something and you go, ha, that's not what they meant, but like
Yeah. Because
sometimes
everybody
that
does
is
it. Yeah.
everybody does it.
We just filter it. Some people just don't. And
some people just don't, because sometimes that first popped into your head thought that you have that makes you giggle about something awful is your higher self trying to be like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, I know this seems really bad,
Yeah.
but it's okay. It's not as bad as you think.
Yeah. This comes from me growing up with a family of Irish and Italian people who you were constantly, if you didn't learn how to shoot shit early on, you you were done for. And so, you know, name calling and just like busting on everybody, pranks.
I was gonna say,
and then
ball busting in my family, like that's how you did. Like,
Yeah.
I think that is really almost a generational thing. I'm gonna say, not
Oh
like,
yeah, absolutely.
Like very much, because like I think my grandpa right away, like is like he's like the ball buster of the family for sure. But like definitely that energy of like, yeah, you better know how to like play sauce, be a bully. Like, haha, funny.
Yeah, and that was like the last generation. I think we were a part of that a little bit to kind of be like, it was a joke, like relax, and like, and now, you know, it's a little harder to do that. But I think that mixed with me living in an area where there's just an unnatural abundance of people and people watching being very much a part of my childhood. And there's so many, because when you have,
I really love that phrase, an unnatural abundance of people.
like you could have about 100,000 people on one like block, and they're just packed in like sardines, and it's a mixture of native residents and tourists. And in terms of people watching, you have pick
anything you want to see, it's here. What do you like in the human buffet for your eyes? Like,
so satire is just, it comes naturally around here. So yeah.
I really do feel like, though, we are kind of a generation too of being a little bit of a bridge between the extremes, the idea of like being the extreme, actually being mean, actually being a bully, and the other extreme of like not being able to have the freedom to play and play with humor, right? Like that idea of sort of non-forgiveness, right? Because it really is. You have to be able to play and say things and make mistakes. And maybe it was a thing that was the cancel culture wants to get rid of you for saying it.
Yeah.
But maybe we need to give people room. It's kind of like I think about like kids with ADHD or autism or whatever. It's like give them room to say the things that might shock value make you go, I don't know if that's appropriate, but maybe explore what that energy is a little bit. Okay, well, why did that thing that they said trigger you like that? And is that their fault?
Right. Yeah.
You know,
it's not like they're coming out personally for you. And so a lot of times I've seen people I feel like I've seen people a lot. They immediately go for the cancel culture because like, I don't like what they said. Okay, that's fine. I feel like we forget that there's always an option to just not listen or tune in to that person anymore. Like, that's your ultimate way of protesting and not supporting. That's fine. It doesn't always mean that that person believes exactly what they said if they made a joke about it or whatever. If they truly do believe it, that's a whole different thing. But you know.
Well, I really do think that like intention and the energy behind things matters, right? When the energy you come to something with is, I just want to be fun and make people laugh. I want this to be I think that is something that if you know where you come from, that's what matters.
Yep.
If you know the energy you're coming from, because you can't determine how someone else is going to receive you. Because how someone receives anything you say might not even have a lot to do with what you say or the context of what you say. It might have only to do with their personal experience, their energy, or whatever energy they might be in that moment that they hear that thing you said.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
We're gonna start on my
What's
channel.
up?
We're gonna.
Chris is here. Hi, buddy. How you doing?
Hey, Chris, how's it going?
Intention is so much in everything. I agree.
So we're gonna on my channel. We're gonna start delving a little bit into politics. I've been very much into politics and economics a lot for most of my life. As straight down the middle as possible. It was a real intention, and we obviously do not have to talk about this on this.
No, please, let's talk about this, because I'm going to say this a little bit. Like, there's something to this that is like, you boys and your politics, man. Like, I tell you what.
Well, the one thing I care the most about is the gray area, which I feel like, and I am so much a defender of the gray area. And so like interpretation, intention, context, so important, because I believe there's a difference between saying a racist thing and being a racist. There's a difference between, saying something offensive and being offensive. And so like with the cancel culture, I feel like give somebody an opportunity to show that they're not just this one statement. You don't have to immediately go in and cancel in, but I feel we're jumping the gun a lot. And I literally just had this conversation with another friend this morning about
cancel culture, Omni. Yes.
Could be, yeah.
I agree, because
so
keep going, because I think there's something here that I think is interesting.
So we just watched Deadpool 3, and I'm not going to say any spoilers for anybody listening out there who hasn't seen it. Go and see it. It's amazing.
Okay.
But he has one joke in there about, he's like, oh, you Gen Z and you trauma braggers, can't you just shove it down and turn it into like courage or cancer like the rest of us?
Courage or cancer? Like, no, it just turns into cancer. So, like, y'all.
So the friend that I talked to, she's a therapist, licensed therapist, and she's noticed a lot of kids saying the word like, oh, I'm traumatized. And it's almost like an abuse of the word traumatized, because you can't calling people out who might not have actually been traumatized. It seems like it's kind of introduced this wave of kids looking for some sort of validation by saying that anything that they've experienced that might be negative might be seen as trauma. And since it's not okay to kind of call that out, I'm like, but is it really trauma? Because I feel like you're really shitting on the people who had the trauma. And I'm like, if we can't call it out and just say, no, you're just seeking attention, like but even now I'm like, is that okay to say? Because it's like stepping in, like walking through a minefield at this point.
Here's what it is. We as humans all want to be seen. That's all it is. And we do this thing, and I think it's Brene Brown who talks about it, the comparative suffering, right? As in, it's kind of like having a pissing contest. Well, you've had this happen. My life is this, right? Because we don't know how to hold space for each other. We don't know how to hold space and say, whatever has happened to you and whatever your feelings are about it are valid in the moment you're experiencing them. Your experience is always valid. I might not agree with it. It might not resonate with me. But for you, your experience is always valid, and I see you in that. And I think that's all people really want. And because we don't know how to hold a space for each other to have that, and we don't know how to hold a space for ourselves to do that, we lash out in silly different ways, right? And it can have varying different degrees of how we do it. And it really all comes to have the ability to hold a space for yourself first, so that you can communicate what it is that you actually need to have seen to whoever you need to communicate it to.
Yeah, exactly. And to answer Chris Binder's question, are you saying we are attention whores? I have a YouTube channel primarily because I'm an attention whore. So yeah.
I mean, why else would I have, like, y'all, I got too many podcasts for anybody to say I'm not an attention whore. Like, hello.
I'll tell you this much. I would not be doing theater or film if there was no audience.
Right? Like, and that's fair, and that's honest about yourself, and there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with just saying, like, I need some attention and I need to be seen, and that's why I do this thing. And it doesn't have to have any more justification than that. That's, I think, another point of sort of contention, right? And like, I think this ties into politics in that a little bit, where you're looking for that gray area where you don't have to keep Because that's what both sides are doing. They're screaming, hear my side and see my point and see me. But then everyone just becomes defensive at one another.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. You know, what's funny is I was listening to the podcast between I'm clapping for your clapping.
Oh, yay! I love it.
I was listening to this podcast where they were talking about the assassination attempt and everything, and how there were calls for unity that literally lasted maybe all of like 36 hours until everybody was back on the rhetoric train. And the person rightly pointed out, whose beliefs I don't generally agree with, but they rightly pointed out, it's never going to last because at this moment, hate is monetized. And so the people who are willing to have an open and honest discussion between two people who just literally debate, who don't agree with each other, say, hey, I respect this gentleman. I don't agree with how they're going to run the country. We can't have that anymore because now this person is a literal threat to democracy. And it's gotten to that point. And I'm like, I would love to be able to just go up and foster a conversation with somebody, to be able to just talk about discussion, understanding that both sides might be willing to change their opinion. But if neither side is willing to change their opinion, it's just an argument. And I don't have time for that.
Well, and I think that's, again, another reason like why we do this podcasting thing. Like, yes, there is that element of I want attention, but there's also that reverse element, that inverse of I know that those calmer energies of me, like the better nature of ourselves, right?
Yeah.
That is available in a calmer space. And that's what we want to be able to create. And people are looking for that. And they are trying to find that kind of content, right? So I think what it really is that we give too much credit and too much energy and too much, that's what it actually is, to the 24-hour news cycle. Like, I don't watch the news. If not for someone texting me a meme.
Good for you.
Really, if I hadn't been texted a meme of Donald Trump and the assassination attempt, wouldn't have known that it happened and wouldn't have cared. And guess what? Did not affect my world, my life, or the bank account, y'all, and it by any means. Okay. Like, it's not doing me any good.
Yeah. So if you just saw like a picture of him like holding his ear, you would have thought that, like, he got stung by a bee or something.
Like, I might not have known if it was like people didn't tell me.
Yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't.
All right. Quick.
Yes, you can ask a political question, Chris.
Let's go with political question. While you're asking that political question, let me ask you, Haleigh, what's the most like irrational thing you've done in a heightened state of emotion? Because no good discussion can be had.
What's the irrational thing you've done?
Whether it's
there's such a long list of irrational things that I've done.
Name one. Whether it's like excitement, like happiness, or like anger, or like sadness. Let me start. I had such a good performance when I was doing a classical recital, and I had such a high from the performance that I bought a rabbit in college, and this is how fucked up my brain is. So like, this is how fucked up my brain is.
Statistic thing I've ever heard all day, and that's the best. I'm so happy about it. I was so happy I bought a rabbit.
Let me take you through my train of thought. So I was at the mall the day before, and I walked by the pet store, and there was a whole glass case of rabbits, and they were so cute. And it said in Sharpie, it said rabbits $40, and my brain was like, oh, I have $40.
That's all it takes to get a like full on alive rabbit is $40.
So that pet store and that Sharpie sign was like my inception. So that idea was planted, and then it was exacerbated after all of the awesome performance high that I had. And I went and bought the rabbit, and then realized I had nothing to house the rabbit in, and then dropped like $300 to keep the rabbit alive for the next 24 hours. And then realized
that was a bad choice. I can't take care of a rabbit.
Yeah. I was like, I had the $40 rabbit. You didn't tell me anything else.
I feel like that's just kind of my whole life of like, oh yeah, I could do that. Oh shit. No, what am I doing? I just got way too ADHD excited, and I thought I could. I tell you what. Here, we got to go back to the question here. Do you think we would be better without political parties, but still voting rights? So you would have to vote knowledge conscious, not party. I think that's one of the funniest things about America, that we think that we're like so great and have so much choice, but the only two political parties that have ever had a president in office are, like, y'all, Baskin Robbins don't have just chocolate and vanilla.
I was going to say, we have like 30,000 different Pepsi flavors as a consumerist economy, but we have two political parties. And I do say, so I would agree, because I believe we should be more than a two-party system, but voting third party is seen as throwing away your vote at this point. Now, granted, I haven't agreed with the types of third party candidates that have been out there lately, but voting knowledge, consensus, not party, there's this weird sense of party loyalty in falling in line now, that I feel like when, if somebody says, oh, I'm Democrat,
it's the patriotism thing of the like, well, I was born into this, and so I was either born into it or angry shoved out of what I was born into what I chose.
Yeah. And so like when people get put up on whether it's like MSNBC or Fox, and they're saying like, this person who is this party doesn't agree with this person in their own party, I'm like, yeah,
because that's how it's framed.
Yeah, because like, just because like I identify as one party, if that party's identity, like politics shift, that doesn't mean that by transitive property, my politics shift with it. Like, I don't hold dear everything that any party believes. So yeah, exactly what Chris is saying. Yeah, I would strip away political parties if I possibly could. That would make a hell of a time in the Senate and House trying to figure out who's for who. But
I think this is one of those where I'm very excited by. This is the kind of thing that I would really love to ask like a bunch of kids. You know what I mean? Like, go to a kindergarten classroom and ask them, but ask a bunch of kids who have no idea how government works.
Yeah.
Like, ask them how they think we should be doing things.
Yeah.
They might have a clever answer, because obviously we're too entrenched. It's kind of the idea of like, this is something that someone else I talked to was likening to neural pathways, right?
Yeah.
But was talking about ski slopes. That like when we have these ski paths that people keep going down, and you haven't had new snow, those are the paths you keep taking, and those ruts get dug deeper and deeper and deeper. And it's like, eventually you need to like blanket a new layer of snow so you can make new paths. And it's like, we might just be at that point, y'all, where our system completely doesn't work anymore. We need to start a new one that starts replacing what this is. I don't know what that is.
No, you're absolutely right, though. I was lucky enough when I was a kid to partake in a program called People to People, which is a program started in 56 by Eisenhower, under the belief that children acted as better ambassadors to the U.S. than adults, because they weren't
accurate
in those preconceived notions. They were more open-handed and wide-eyed about the world. They didn't have any kind of healthy skepticism. They just wanted to learn, and they couldn't see differences. And so the whole point, so what this program did was they would take groups of kids from all over the country and send them to foreign countries for maybe 3 to 4 weeks so they could learn about the differences, and more importantly, learn about the similarities between cultures. And they would foster these connections. I still write every now and then to my home family in Germany and in New Zealand.
That's like maybe really
like
cool.
20 years later. Yeah. And it's one of the most, it's changed me as a person. I truly believe that if we were to divert funding and tax money to anything, it would be investing in at least one international opportunity for every student before graduating. Because
I really love the idea of like, I've never heard of a program like that other than just like a regular school exchange program, but like where you would do that with young kids for a couple of weeks. I think that's amazing. And that would be a really interesting, I mean, talking about content, like that's the kind of content creation I would love to see, because what kind of solutions, like actionable solutions, could come out of a content creation experiment like that? Like, let's have a bunch of kids from different cultures get together, like have some kind of event. Put this out into the universe. How do we make this happen? Where you would have some kind of event with kids from all over the world, right? And you could do these kind of, maybe you'd call them workshops, I guess, but like just let them get together, let them talk. Like, don't give them, because here's the thing I think though, like if you think about some of those, the structure that can sometimes come with a program like that. think about like when you go to an icebreaker event when you first go to college. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know.
Like there are still a lot of ways that we can kind of structure or package things a certain way for programs like that don't really give kids the freedom to explore what they might actually want to.
Yep. Yeah.
Like I think it would be really cool to see, like, get a bunch of kids with like just some art supplies and toys or whatever. Like it's just recess time. What do you talk about? What do you come up with?
Yep. You know what's really cool is like that's one of the binding things for me and so inviting about music, because it doesn't matter what your culture is. If you can come together, and a lot of people who aren't in the performing arts, they don't understand this, and it's such a very hard thing to show them. But I had to accept that there are certain things that other people, and this is like the magic show of music, and just being interested in something, because I'm sure you're the same. There's just some things that I'm interested in that people literally cannot see and will never see. Like they can't understand why I value this thing as much as I do when they don't, which is completely fine. It's not my fault. It's not their fault. And so with music, what's so hard to like get people to understand who aren't in the performing arts is that you could be a complete stranger to somebody, but if you have that artistic connection with them, even for a split second, it feels like you've been bonded for life. And you've known this person for years. Because like in music and arts, you've bared your soul and reached this person and connected with them on an emotional level to transcend the two of you. And now I'm like, oh my, like now we've clicked, and it's only been like 5 minutes of rehearsal.
Well, and but I love that about not just performing arts, but I would say art in general. And this is actually like, I wrote an essay that I sent off to like the Museum of Modern Art, like with a bunch of my art that like never went anywhere, but who cares?
Yeah.
But like this idea of like people who get upset about AI art or like the AI images and things that are being created, right? And like I do my own abstract art, but like we were talking about, I'll run it through AI filters and see what it does.
I'll post that. That last one. No, oh no, that one too.
What? Which one? Did I miss some?
I see Haleigh does kick-ass art. That's the last one.
Oh wow, yes. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you. But I think like I would not have considered this to be art for a very long time in my life, because it's not traditional figure drawing or landscape, or you know what I'm saying? Like, because I had a certain perception of it, I did not express myself or try to in an artistic sort of way until later on. Like, this is something I've honestly only been exploring in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
The thing with like the AI art imagery or even music creation or and any of this content creation, really, it's the easier that you make it for people to create something, whether they have whatever traditional this, that skill or the other, right? If it's something they're really interested in, they'll go after that skill themselves.
Yeah.
But like having that ease of interaction or access to creating anything, right? That I think it's what you're talking about. Like, there is a communication that can happen through art and creativity that transcends language. Right. And which is, as a writer, that's something that sometimes my brain really needs, because I can fixate on words or context too much and overthink. Getting into this abstract and this play and just like being with colors or the paint or the like, and not having so much form and structure, you get into a space of flow where you can like receive new thoughts or new ideas. Right. And like, but that is a space, that more abstract space, where you can connect to people on a level of, oh yeah, that's right. All the labels we give ourselves. Yeah. We're still humans. Like, you're still me, I'm still you. We're still connected to all the same energy that makes everything that is, all the quantum particles that make up the stuff that we are.
Yeah. And in a world that tells you so many times that you're not. And it will like pick apart your individuality for the sake of not flocking like with like the status quo. And with art, it's so hard, because I feel like kind of to Omni Collective's point, we do a very good job, especially with like the standardized like school system nowadays, to teach kids very early on that it's not okay to be wrong. And like you said, like if we ask kids about politics early on in kindergarten, if they don't know an answer, they'll give it a go all the time. And then somehow by the time they've reached like middle school to high school, we've kind of squandered that. And so like showing kids like where they can go and where they can connect and how they can connect with art is more accessible. I mean, we didn't have electronic like EDM, like these like DJ systems and electronic
Right.
like I grew up in a classical music background.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times that runs the risk of seeming very elitist, and it makes getting into it seem near impossible because some of these people hold themselves on like a pedestal. I've been around so many classical musicians who, when somebody says, "Oh, I'm looking to get into music," I wrote a song, and then all they wrote is like rap lyrics, and like, "Oh, that's not a song. You don't know how to read music." I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 wait!" Like, ease it back.
They started, they're
trying.
creating, like,
This is a good
support
start.
them,
Yeah, this is
encourage
a
them.
good starting point. Let's take
Yes.
that as the first building block and build from it. They have an interest in your expertise. Like, don't squander that. Like, it's mind-numbing sometimes how people look to put themselves higher than somebody else by squandering like the other person's
Right.
ambition.
Instead of saying like, "Hey, that's an awesome idea. That's an awesome start. I really like that. Here's what I do and what I have to offer to it that could add to it. Would
Yeah,
you want me to
yeah.
help you? Would you want me to learn?"
Mhm.
That's, that's kind of interesting. So this is something that's been coming up for me with like sort of my dad and my dad's energy. So like my dad passed away during COVID. He's no longer with us, but like I
Wow.
was having a conversation with somebody yesterday about my dad's energy when it came to things like that was, oh, like when I was growing up, whatever it was that he was doing was always, this is what I'm doing. Do you want to learn? Do you want to do it?
Mhm.
Like, it was never like, hey, you need to know how to like change the fuses in your car because someday that's going to be important. It was like, hey, I'm going to go do this. This is the thing that do you want to learn what I'm doing? And
Yeah.
yeah, that's cool. Like the
Mhm.
energy that you come to it with, whether or not
Mhm.
someone wants to like work with you and learn and improve their own thing they started, the energy
Mhm.
that you come at it with matters,
Yeah.
right? Like
Mhm.
it's again, like you got to hold a space
Mhm.
for someone to be creative, to try, to play, to experiment.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we have such a hyper focus on looking for the things that don't work or looking for what is a mistake or what we think doesn't work.
Yeah.
Right. But it's like, okay, but the idea of play and experiment, which is why music is such a great thing, and things that allow you to create music that we have now that we have access to are so, and again, like the AI stuff or any of it, like
Mhm.
the ease of creating something that is your own and
Mhm.
just getting your toe in the water, getting
Mhm.
yourself familiar with the idea of creation, playing around. That's where
Mhm.
kids will start.
Mhm.
Like, okay, I really love the sound of this stuff this music I'm making on this app, but what would it be like if I could play a piano myself
Yeah.
or a violin myself or a
Mhm.
whatever? If
Yeah.
they're that interested, they'll go down, like, let them follow the natural path of their passion and their interest.
Mhm.
That's what we're meant to be doing,
Yeah.
right? Like, let them follow that natural curiosity about it, support that curiosity, and
Yeah.
however it starts, even if it's AI and not necessarily classical training, classical drawing, what we think is the proper way to do things. And who
Yeah.
gets to say what's the proper way?
Right, exactly. Yeah, I know. Nicole Gaspard, what's going on?
What's up, Nicole? Thanks for joining. We're deep into some conversation
Yeah.
here. I
All
tell
right.
you what, we're
This is
rocking.
this is gonna get tough. This one, oh God, why is it fading? Why is it fading? Oh God, we were
The
just
idea
talking.
sauce of the
Yeah,
music and
the
music. Let's
ideas of the music
music.
and okay. Oh yeah. So, what do you think if it's a great idea that we can all be creative and original? So then, why do you think a lot of the property, like the films and a lot of the music that we've been seeing as of late have not been as original as they had been in the past? Like if you've seen like all movies coming out are either sequels or remakes of original content. Like they have like
See,
Gladiator 2's coming out.
I think
Like
what we're looking at is there's this parallels to like everything we're
mm,
talking about is what I think.
mm,
If you think about it, think about our political system. How long have we had it? 200 years. Think about like all the content that we've been creating and the stories that we've been turning into our digital
mm,
content, movies,
yeah.
Marvel, whatever,
Mhm,
for such chunks of time. We are really just at a human consciousness plateau on a lot of different facets with
right.
our government, with our
Mhm,
education, with our medical system, with
mhm,
our
mhm,
entertainment structure, with the
yeah.
things that we create.
Mhm,
We hit a plateau, And there's a lot of us who are just not being seen yet, I think. And I think this is, again, where what we're doing right now, the podcasting and the getting together and the collaborating and the supporting each other, that's why that's so important. Because we are the little people who are the new thing, who are creating the new communities, the new energy that we want to start a new, I mean, call it society, civilization, batch of human consciousness. I call it whatever you want, right?
Yeah. Right.
The new systems that are ready to like reveal themselves to us, like they are going to reveal themselves. I really do think that kids are going to be such a big, if we can be open enough to what we can learn from kids.
Yeah.
I think that, like, I really do. I think there's so many solutions that because we keep looking at the old system and to the old guards of the old systems to change, they can't. They're stuck in there, what they're in.
Let them have time stamped. It's so antiquated. Like there's no way that anybody 200 years ago could have possibly fathomed this scale of the world now. Let alone like the silent people. And yes, music is a universal language. Absolutely. You can play anything. Like going to like, I've seen videos of people going to an airport and just starting like playing like the Interstellar theme on piano. And it doesn't matter what language you speak, you know that song, you know that that theme. And it's beautiful.
It's again, it's the idea of tuning into the energy, right? Like the thing about music is that it's energy frequencies, it's melodies, it's harmonies, it's like putting together sound vibrations that go together nicely. And the parallel there is like, hey, humans, we can do that with our energy fields, just the way you can orchestrate a piece of music. You can find harmonious energies and you can have it at your government levels, at your institutional levels. But guess what? Has to start right here with you. And that's where this community space that we want to build, of like holding a space for creative people, holding a space for people who are testing out new things, trying new things. Maybe they don't have like, maybe we're not the big, you know, big Taylor Swift yet, but we certainly could be, because there's room enough for everyone in the world for there to be that. There's room for everyone. And that's the point that we prove by continuing to do what we do and holding a space for the people who might not necessarily be the ones who are getting seen and all the noise that we're used to. Like, I think if people, the desensitization that we have to politics and all of that is a good thing. Because it's like, okay, guess what? That's just noise. Where are the other players? Where are the other people? Where's the other energy that I'm looking for? And people are out there looking for it. They are.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, it's even crazy. All right. The crazy thing is that like there are all these like things that are happening in the news that we are desensitized to now at this point. I was like, I never thought like in my like wildest dreams that I would be desensitized to like, you know, some of the rhetoric that has been like spewed this past 8 months. It's unbelievable. But I want to bring it back to you. Music, obviously, like that frequency can just trigger all of the senses, memory, take you back, your smell, touch. What song? Name a song that does that for you.
Ooh, okay. You know what's kind of fun? So the song "Wonderful" by who sings that? Help me. Is it Everclear?
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
You know, so the song is essentially about when the lead singer of Everclear wrote this song. He was going through a divorce. He was writing essentially from the perspective of his kid. Right? Like, and the sort of things that the kid is experiencing while his parents are like fighting and splitting up. Right? My parents got divorced when I was young. So for me, that song for a very long time, like I could not hear that song without wanting to cry. Right? Because it was like, there are like, I know what that was like. I could get into the vibrational emotions of like being that kid and like, don't tell me to be so happy about my life right now. You don't know what it's like to be me right now dealing with this bullshit. Right. But I was listening to it like a couple of weeks ago, and I actually think I did a LinkedIn post about it, that like for the first time that I could remember, I listened to that song and felt really happy. I listened to that song and felt really appreciative. That like I had the capacity to tune into the energy of what that was, understand it, and transmute that energy for myself. And that song helped me to be in my feels and experience the emotions I needed to experience right? But also gave me an indicator later in life of like, look at how you're experiencing this music and these vibrations in a happier way because you've shifted your energy. And that's another way that you could like, okay, that's a milestone of how far I've come, right? Like that I've shifted enough energy in the things that I had a lot of negative energy around for a lot of my life that came from my childhood, right? And shift that into a different space. And music can help you to feel better when you want to feel better, but sometimes it can help you to really understand and get into your own emotions that you need to process to be able to get past.
Yep. Absolutely. That's amazing. And that's really, really saying something that you can go back to the same piece of content and have a completely different.
Really 180.
Yeah.
Like the energy was lighter and it was like, I love this song. And like, man, I love that person that I was that experienced that and that was willing to like experience that in this human ride.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's amazing. So
I love that, but music can do that for you.
It can do that.
Do you like before I know we're at an hour, like man, these go by so fast, it's crazy. But like, and I know, right? Like everybody put the song, like y'all put your songs, your favorite song.
Yep.
Like put them in the content in the comments. Like we can totally do. Like tell me one that you think of, and like let's put this in our back pocket for another for next episode. Like let's have let's bring up some old music.
Yeah. So mine. All right, one that I can definitely think of. First of all, like one that always just takes me back to not a happier time, but a more like raw emotional time. Because now as an adult, I feel like there are just certain times where I can't feel as angsty. I was a very angsty teen.
Like, hi, friend.
Like I had those those rubber defend pop punk bands and everything. The swoopy hair, which doesn't work if you're Asian. So
whatever, you know what, you did it, good for you.
Yeah, you tried. But
I mean, listen, I was a little bitty goth girl in the Midwest. I didn't fit in either, so it's all right.
I think like the song that I could listen to forever and never get tired of it was like the first album I ever got. It was Linkin Park Meteora and Numb. And now,
it's a good one.
Good one. And it's just, it works so well. But in terms of like emotionality, what takes me back is I had such a good experience. I got to see Yo-Yo Ma live, the cellist.
Yeah.
And he played this this arrangement of there's a composer called Camille Saint-Saëns, and he has this song set called the Carnival of the Animals. And there's this one.
Oh, but that's like I love like
there's this one of them, the I think it was Dream. No, I think one of them is in Harry Potter, but the one he did was from the movement The Swan. And it's
I was gonna say, is this like old enough to be, can we play that? I love Carnival of the Animals.
Oh yeah, you could definitely. It's nothing but public domain. Now,
that's where
I will say, there's a video of him doing it on YouTube that I'm pretty sure got copyright flagged from because I tried to use it in a vlog.
Okay.
I don't know. It's like it's weird. It's okay to play the song if you're the original, if you're an artist, but it's not okay to play the playing of that song. So it depends on who it is, because public domain, if that person did it less than like 50 or 100 years ago, then whatever. Then you can't do it. And I'm like, damn it. But yeah, that song just puts me to sleep. That and like anything Dvorak, anything Beethoven, and just like Italian.
Oh, now I was like,
oh God.
It just makes you feel like swaying just to think about like the Carnival of the Animals. Like,
yep.
Oh, I love that. That's so fun.
But that list could go on forever, and I'm sure everybody else in the comments that list is.
I mean, guess what? That's
long.
Where do we want to start next time? Favorite beautiful songs that touch your soul. Like, man, we could all go into it. I love it.
Yep.
So good. Thank you for again. Hour goes by so fast. Like when we're just doing this is, you know what else we're doing here is proving that ADHD works.
Yeah, ADHD started us off on haunted real estate. And went to the state of the world.
The state of the world, y'all. Man. And that's why we need to have our Haunted House Hunters reality show, because look at where ADHD can find all the solutions to the whole wide world's problems accidentally as we follow along. I mean, you can solve anything in the world if you start with haunted real estate and
if you start with ghosts, and then just you can't go wrong.
Love it.
That's awesome.
Oh no, please divert us all you want. That's the whole point. We will follow that diversion to wherever it needs to go. That's the flow of the river, babes.
Yeah, Chris, diversion is literally my mindset anyway.
Right? That's where we live.
I literally have thoughts diverting my original thoughts, so it's nothing new.
All day, every day. That's just ping pong balls that it's like, guess what? Go ahead. Let them go.
Love it.
And it's been successful. Thank you all so much for joining us again. Do make sure that you're checking out Writer Reacts on YouTube. Go and make sure, hit subscribe, hit like on this thing. Thanks for jumping into the comments. We so appreciate all of our friends coming and hanging out.
We'll see you next time.
We will see you next time for more music and more silly.